Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely breathtaking. We're going to explore the unseen, frankly unimaginable rewards of paradise and the extraordinary historical trailblazers who dedicated their entire lives to actually achieving them. We'll be looking at exactly how a believer's status can get elevated in ways they literally never expected and the profound sacrifices early believers made to secure these eternal destinations.
Okay, picture this for a second. You've made it. Imagine a believer who has just entered their heavenly reward. They're standing on the balcony of this magnificent palace, and we're talking a palace constructed literally with bricks of gold and silver, held together with mortar made of pure musk. They're looking out over a vast, endless kingdom. Rivers of flowing milk and honey. It's absolute perfection. No harsh sun, no freezing cold, zero fear and zero sadness. But then, out of nowhere, the sky splits open with this majestic light, and a divine announcement is made. They are getting a massive, completely unexpected promotion to an even higher level.
So naturally, the believer is absolutely stunned, right? Because they know their exact spiritual bank account. They know every prayer, every fast, all the charity from their earthly life, and they know for an absolute fact that their own deeds simply aren't enough to elevate them to this ultimate peak, right up there with the prophets and the martyrs. So they look at the angels, literally crying tears of joy and sheer bewilderment, asking, wait, how is this even possible?
And the divine response to this is it's so profound. God reveals to them that this monumental leap in status actually had nothing to do with their own actions. Instead, it was because of a righteous son or daughter they left behind on earth. A child who, maybe in a quiet, lonely moment in the middle of the night, simply raised their hands to the sky and prayed, "Oh God, forgive my parents."
The really crucial takeaway here is the sheer power of the legacy you leave behind. Think about it. That single, sincere prayer from your child travels through the seven heavens and literally changes your eternal reality. It elevates you to the absolute highest peaks, overrides any earthly shortcomings you had, and entirely tips the scales of your afterlife. It's a total game changer.
Section 1. Hidden Devotion. Power of the Unseen. Let's see how this builds into another incredible surprise waiting for a believer. One that's rooted in the deepest, toughest moments of hidden, solitary devotion.
Imagine sitting there in complete, eternal comfort, and your heavenly spouse turns to you and says, "Hey, do you remember that one night in the worldly life?" They're talking about a freezing, bitter winter night. You know the kind, where everyone else is fast asleep bundled up under thick, warm blankets. But this believer actually pushed away those covers, dragged themselves out of a warm bed, washed with freezing cold water, and stood in the pitch dark, shivering, just to pray and ask God for paradise.
Now, what is truly fascinating here is the immediate divine reaction to that one secret moment. God actually boasts to his noble angels about this specific act. He proudly tells them to look at this servant who left their sleep and their warmth purely out of hope and fear of him. Right then and there, God bears witness to the angels that he has forgiven that servant and practically guaranteed them paradise.
The prophet explained this so beautifully. Just by stepping out of comfort into that freezing dark night, driven by nothing but hope in God's mercy and fear of his punishment, that single, completely hidden act secures the ultimate reward. It grants absolute safety from everything they feared.
Section 2. Trailblazers, the 10 promised. So who were the people in history who actually strove for these hidden rewards? Who were the ones guaranteed these ultimate destinations? Let's talk about the famous 10 promised paradise.
When we think about the monumental first 4 caliphs, the level of devotion, even at the very end of their lives, is just staggering. Abu Bakr, the first man to accept Islam, died naturally. But look at Umar and Ali. Both of them were literally assassinated while immersed in the exact kinds of prayers we were just talking about. Umar was attacked while leading prayer in the Prophet's mosque, and Ali was struck down during the dawn Fajr prayer. And Uthman, the man who gathered the Quran into one book, was martyred by rebels in his own home while sitting and reading that very Quran.
And looking at the remaining 6 of these remarkable men, you really see this incredible diversity in the sacrifices they made. Some, like the brave Talha and Zubair, fell during the tragic events of the Battle of the Camel. Others, like the incredibly wealthy and generous Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, passed naturally. Then you have Abu Ubaidah, known as the trustworthy of this nation, who actually died serving his community on the front lines during the devastating plague of Amwas in the Levant.
55 Hijri. This is a highly pivotal year.
By this time, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, a legendary knight and the commander at the Battle of Al-Qadisiyah, passed away naturally near Medina. He was the very last of these 10 incredible men to die, which officially closed a monumental chapter of trailblazers who had locked in their eternal destination.
Section 3. Beloved Daughters, Trials and Patience. But listen, the path to paradise isn't just paved by the men. It is profoundly defined by the immense patience and heartbreaking sacrifices of the Prophet's daughters. Let's explore their incredible legacy.
Just think about how close together these births were. Zainab in 600 AD, followed really closely by Ruqayya and Kulthum, all born in Mecca shortly before the prophethood even began. And this timing is so crucial because it set the stage for lives that would test their faith, their patience, and their family bonds to the absolute limit once the message of Islam was actually revealed. Take Zainab's story, for example. She became a Muslim, but her husband, Abu al-As, remained fiercely loyal to the religion of his ancestors. Fast forward a bit to the Battle of Badr, and Abu al-As is captured by the Muslims who are fighting against her father. To ransom her husband, Zainab sent a necklace, but this wasn't just any necklace. It was the necklace of her late mother, Khadijah.
Man, when the Prophet saw Khadijah's necklace, he was deeply, deeply moved. He gracefully turned to his companions and said, "If you think well and return him, we love that." And they did. They freed him without a ransom. Later on, Abu al-As's caravan was captured, and he snuck into Medina to seek Zainab's protection. The Prophet actually honored her protection, returned his wealth, and Abu al-As was so moved by this total integrity that he embraced Islam and finally reunited with Zainab in Medina.
But despite all their incredible devotion, their earthly lives were cut so tragically short. The rapid succession of their passings is honestly staggering when you think about it. It was marked by intense suffering and loss. Ruqayya in the 2nd year of Hijrah, Zainab in the 8th, and Kulthum in the 9th. And the specifics of the tragedies they endured are just heartbreaking. Zainab was traveling to Medina when a man named Habar attacked her camel with a spear. She fell, suffered a fatal miscarriage, and later died from that trauma, making her a martyr. Ruqayya contracted a severe illness right while the Battle of Badr was happening, and she passed away before her father even made it back. To add to that sorrow, Ruqayya's young son, Abdullah, died at just 6 years old after a highly unusual, bizarre incident where a rooster injured his face.
Now, Uthman had been married to Ruqayya, and after she passed, the Prophet married him to Kulthum. When Kulthum also passed away, Uthman was absolutely shattered. He was seen just walking the streets completely broken, head bowed down. The Prophet saw this immense grief, approached him, and offered this incredibly moving consolation. He told him, "If we had a third, we would have married her to you, O Uthman."
This specific moment profoundly captures the immense humanity of the Prophet himself. When he finally returned from Badr and learned that Ruqayya had passed, he went straight to the graveyard. He sat down right at the edge of his daughter's grave, and, with the edge of his own garment, he gently wiped the pouring tears from the eyes of his youngest daughter, Fatima, whose own legendary story is so vast it definitely needs a separate explainer of its own.
Section 4. Righteous Legacy, Why It Matters. So, having seen the staggering rewards waiting in the unseen, and the very real, heavy historical sacrifices made by the people who secured them, let's bring all this context together. Why does this matter for you right now?
Well, bringing it all together, the ultimate takeaways are pretty clear. First, seek out those secret moments with God, those hidden devotions, like pushing through the cold to pray in the dark. They carry unimaginable weight. Second, face worldly hardships with the resilience of the Prophet's daughters. Third, and maybe most crucially, based on the very first story we talked about, actively raise righteous children who are actually going to remember you. Understand that your true ultimate reward is completely unseen.
I want to leave you with one final thought to really chew on. We spend our entire lives trying to build wealth, build status, build our earthly lives. But knowing that a single, sincere prayer can elevate your eternal reality beyond your wildest dreams, ask yourself right now, what will your children say to the sky when you are gone? Let that inspire you to build a legacy that literally echoes into eternity. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.